we're focusing on one specific matchup today, Group 183. The person running this quest gave it a pretty loaded title. Everyone else bends to Will's power.
Ooh, okay. That definitely suggests a certain outcome.
Right. So our mission here is to dig into the source material, the reviewer's notes, and figure out the thinking, the arguments that led to that title and the specific ranking in this group.
And the notes actually say up front that this group, Group 183, was surprisingly strong overall. So the competition was, pretty stiff.
Good to know. So who are the contenders? Let's lay them out. We had #Willpower by will.i.am.
Yep, the big pop entry.
Then Hypnotize from System of a Down.
The heavy hitters.
Also, Hand Over Your Loved Ones by Wheatus.
Pop rock, famous for that one big song.
And finally, an album called Stonefish by a band, also called Stonefish.
Right, the unknown quantity. So you've got major pop versus established rock acts. It's a real clash of styles.
Okay, let's dive in. We probably have to start with the biggest name, historically speaking anyway, System of a Down's Hypnotize.
Yeah, makes sense. Most famous album in the group, arguably. And the context of its release back in 2005 is fascinating.
How so?
Well, they released 2 albums from the same sessions. Mesmerize came out first, then Hypnotize just 6 months later.
Okay.
And here's the kicker, the really amazing historical fact from the notes. When Hypnotize hit #1 in the U.S.
Which it did.
Oh yeah, it meant System of a Down joined the super elite club.
Go on, what club?
Yeah.
This is the kind of detail that makes this whole album quest thing interesting.
They became one of only 5 acts ever to have 2 different studio albums debut at #1 in the U.S. in the same calendar year.
Wow. Seriously, just 5. Who are we talking about?
The Beatles, Guns N' Roses, Tupac, and DMX. That's it.
That's a legendary company.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about their cultural impact at that moment. So how on earth does an album with that kind of pedigree get knocked out in someone's personal ranking?
Well, that's the beauty or the frustration of the album quest, isn't it? History and sales don't always win against pure personal taste. The notes acknowledge the album's power, for sure, but the critique hinges on comparing Hypnotize to its sibling, Mesmerize.
Ah, okay. And how do they stack up in the reviewer's opinion?
Hypnotize is described as heavier, more intense, maybe more serious overall. It's a full-on rock experience, but it apparently takes a bit to get going.
Takes its time.
Yeah, the notes actually say the classic, chaotic SOA sound doesn't really kick in until the track Kill Rock and Roll.
Okay, so that's the entry point. And after that...
Then you hit what the reviewer calls the strongest part of the album. The title track, Hypnotize, then Stealing Society, Tentative, and Eufig. That's the core, that heavy, kind of unsettling sound they do so well.
Musically dense, aggressive.
Yeah, all that. And detailed.
And speaking of details, I got to mention this bit from the notes that made me laugh. The description of the track, She's Like Heroin.
Oh, yeah. What about it?
Apparently the reviewer said, if you know the old British comedy The Fast Show,
yeah,
the sketch with the Morris dancers?
Vaguely, yeah. Shouting RC.
Exactly. The reviewer said you just cannot hear Serge Tankian scream arse in that song without picturing those specific Morris dancers.
Huh. That's incredibly specific. But I guess it shows that even in this really intense album, there are these weird, almost funny moments.
Right. Breaks the tension a bit. But okay, despite all that, the complexity, the history, the final verdicts came down to personal preference.
Pretty much. The reviewer just plain preferred Mesmerize, slightly. And in this tournament format, that slight preference was enough to put Hypnotize in 3rd place. Eliminated.
Wow. That's harsh. A #1 album, historical significance, out.
Tough bracket, like I said.
So if the rock giant stumbled, who snuck past him into 2nd place, that must be Wheatus with Hand Over Your Loved Ones.
Yeah, Wheatus. Classic story, right? Band blows up with one absolutely massive song.
Teenage Dirtbag, unavoidable.
Totally. Really? And then, the follow-up is always tough. That song just overshadowed everything.
And Hand Over Your Loved Ones was that follow-up. You can just imagine the pressure from Sony, their label. Like, give us another Dirtbag.
For sure. But what's interesting is the reviewer actually sided with the band on this one. The notes say this album is just as good as their debut, even though it didn't have that monster hit.
So what was the appeal then?
Seems like it was just infectious energy. Good, solid songwriting without being too pretentious. The reviewer highlighted tracks like The Song That I Wrote When You Dissed Me, anyway, and Lemonade.
Catchy stuff.
Yeah, that kind of raw power pop, maybe slightly punk energy.
And we absolutely have to mention the title of the closing track. because, wow.
Oh, you mean my balls are bigger than A, Dynamite Satchel of Pain.
That's the one. I mean,
That was a title.
it really is something. Kind of sums up that slightly goofy teenage but really earnest and catchy vibe the reviewer seemed to connect with. It's epic lyrical poetry of a certain kind.
So the takeaway here is that this raw energy, this may be less polished but more emotionally direct songwriting, that ranked higher for this reviewer than the technical skill and history of System of a Down.
Seems like it. Because Wheatus did beat Hypnotize, they grabbed second place.
That's the upset then.
Definitely. It shows that for this particular album quest, it wasn't just about chops or sales. It was about connection, maybe fun songs that just hook you in, even if they're a bit rough around the edges.
Okay, before we get to the winner, gotta quickly touch on fourth place. Stonefish, self-titled album. Right, Stonefish, the real mystery guest. Reviewer hadn't heard of them, couldn't find much online. Described them as sounding like a very 90s pop rock band.
And the verdict?
Musically competent, apparently, but the production let them down. The notes used the phrase, lightweight production values.
Lacked punch.
Exactly. Though there was one standout moment mentioned, a track called In My Skin, had a really well-executed vocal, apparently quite tricky.
So, decent, but ultimately forgettable. And that lightweight production comment is key, isn't it?
It really is, because it provides the perfect contrast for the album that actually won the group.
Let's get to it then. The Champion. The reason for the title, everyone else bends to Will's power. Time for will.i.am's hashtag willpower.
A totally different beast. If Black Eyed Peas was that sort of electro-funk thing, this solo album is pure, high-octane global pop.
How's it described?
It jumps between dance, rap, electro, but it's always aimed squarely at the mainstream. The reviewer said it was positively brimming with ideas.
Okay, so lots going on.
Yeah, and it's presented as like a masterclass in modern pop production. The notes specifically praise will.i.am's world-class production and writing abilities. That polish seems to be the deciding factor.
And the collaborations, right? That's a huge part of it.
Oh, absolutely. That's kind of the defining feature. You've got hashtag That Power with Justin Bieber, huge track.
Yeah.
Then This Is Love with Eva Simons, which was a #1 dance single. And of course, the massive one with Britney Spears, Scream and Shout.
Which was everywhere. And the notes even point out the bitch line in the chorus.
Can't miss it. And there were others too. And Cole Scherzinger, Miley Cyrus, his bandmate, Apple.de.app. It's like a who's who of pop at that moment. Just sheer assembly power.
Maximum pop velocity, as you said. So the final verdict from the reviewer was pretty clear.
Yeah, basically, look, you might not love this genre, but you just can't argue with the fact that this is a sensationally good pop album. And in this specific group, that level of polish, the hits, the sheer energy of it, it was unbeatable.
Okay, let's pull it all together then. The synthesis. What does this ranking tell us about the album quest criteria in this case?
Let's recap the order first. Number 1, moving on, hashtag willpower. Number 2, also moving on, Hand of Your Loved Ones. Number 3, out, Hypnotize. Number 4, out, Stonefish.
Right.
So that title, Everyone Else Bends to Will's Power, it really fits. The source material shows us that slick production and undeniable pop hooks won the day.
Yeah, the historically massive rock album got bumped by personal taste for its sibling.
And the raw, fun pop-punk album got points for connection, but ultimately couldn't compete with the sheer firepower and gloss of the will.i.am record.
So this particular quest, or at least this round, wasn't about finding the most important album or even the most complex musically. It was about overall enjoyment.
Seems like it. Comprehensive listening satisfaction, maybe? And in Group 183, that meant rewarding the expertly crafted, high-energy, collaborative pop album.
We've definitely unpacked a pretty intense four-way fight here. Some surprising results when you look closely at one person's musical taste applied so rigorously.
Yeah, these are the kinds of battles happening inside someone's headphones, the insights you'd never normally get.
So for you listening, here's maybe the final thought to chew on, based on what we found in the source notes today.
Considering those specific comments, lightweight production for Stonefish versus world-class for will.i.am, and then you have SO's incredible chart history, does that big, polished production and all those collaborations ultimately count for more than heavy musicianship or historical success when you're trying to find the quote-unquote best album ever?
That's the core tension, isn't it? What really matters in the end. A great question to ponder. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.